Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first of our Sunday school lessons for this year. We're going to do a whole bunch of different things, and they're all going to follow the same scriptures that get used in the sermon that all the grown-ups listen to. So the first thing I want you to see is you've got this page. It says Genesis 2 and 3 on it, and it's got the different birds and the animals. Well, what we're going to do this year is if you color all these pages, and we'll get you a folder and you can put them all together, you're going to make your own little story Bible during the course of the year between now and the end of May. And that'll be a lot of fun because then you can look back and see all the things that we've talked about this year. I've also got my story Bible here. And so we're going to read, this time we actually have two stories to read. So we're going to read the stories and then we'll talk about them for a few minutes. This first one is called Adam and Eve. After creating the whole world, God looked around and was very happy. It was an incredible world filled with wonderful animals, plants, and included two very special people, a man and a woman. God made a beautiful place for the man and woman to live, an amazing garden. God named the man Adam and the woman Eve. God said to Adam and Eve, "I need someone to help me take care of this amazing world. Will you help me?" Adam and Eve said, "Sure, we'd love to help you, God." Adam and Eve were very happy to care for God's beautiful world. All around them was incredible creation. Together they walked around the garden, amazed with what they saw. There were tall trees and short trees, fat trees and skinny trees. "Wow, Eve," Adam said, "look at this. There are flowers of every size and color." "Amazing," Eve said to Adam. "It's also beautiful." There were still, quiet blue pools and a rustling breeze that blew throughout the garden. Everywhere they looked, they saw an amazing world. When she looked at all of the animals God placed in the garden, the ones that fluttered through the sky, the ones that wiggled and squirmed across the ground, and the ones that frolicked and played across the land, Eve said, "It's going to be hard to keep track of them all." "Don't worry, Eve," Adam said. "God asked me to give all the animals names to help us keep track and take care of them all. This is toucan and chickadee and monkey and squirrel. This tall creature is called a giraffe. The silly one with the long nose, she will be an elephant. And this one who wags his tail will be dog," Adam said. "Look how he follows me wherever I go." God watched over Adam and Eve as Adam shared all the names of the animals while they played with them in the garden. God was happy to see that Adam and Eve were taking such good care of everything in creation. What are some of your favorite things that God created? What are some things that God created? Do you think God created this computer mouse? No, people did that one. But what about this squash that someone gave me? This is something God created, isn't it? It's one of the plants. How about, though, bread? Now, that's not something God created, because bread doesn't just grow out of the ground, does it? No. Someone has to make it. But the flour that made the bread, the wheat, that grows in the ground. And then people figured out ways to turn that into something good to eat. That's pretty neat, isn't it? We do a lot of that. The houses that we live in, those were all built by people, weren't they? It's not something that you can just do on your own. But it's really important that we have to take care of the things that God created out in the world. That we're supposed to be, it's the word sometimes called a steward, but it's a caretaker. It's somebody who takes care of things. We're supposed to take care of the animals and the plants and the trees and the water to make sure that it stays clean, that it stays healthy, and that everybody can enjoy it. Now, we're going to read the second part of our story. This one is called the first sin. And a sin is something that you do wrong. One of the animals that God created was very tricky, the serpent. The serpent was clever and sly and up to no good. Did God really say you can't eat the fruit from the trees in the garden? The serpent hissed softly to Eve. No, said Eve. God said we can eat fruit from any of the trees in the garden except for the tree in the middle of the garden. God said not to eat from that one, not to even touch it. The serpent smiled his sneaky little smile. Oh, God doesn't want you to eat fruit from that tree, because if you do, you'll know everything. You'll be just like God, the serpent hissed in his sly way. Eve looked at the tree in the middle. The fruit sure looked good. So she ate some, and she gave some to Adam too. As soon as they ate the fruit, everything changed. Adam and Eve became very embarrassed and shy. They sewed some leaves together, making some pretend clothes to try to cover up their bodies. They stood nervously behind some bushes. Then they heard God walking around in the garden. God called out to them, "Yoo-hoo, where are you?" Adam and Eve hid. "Hey, where did you go?" called God. Adam peeked out from behind some vines. He said, "I heard you, and I was afraid." "Why were you afraid?" asked God. "Well, I'm naked, for one thing," said Adam, who was quite embarrassed. "So I hid." "I see," God replied. Who told you that you were naked?" Adam didn't say anything. "Did you eat fruit from the tree I told you not to eat from?" asked God. "Eve gave it to me," Adam blurted out. "The serpent made me," exclaimed Eve. "He tricked me." God sighed. "I told you not to eat from that tree. Because you've done what I told you not to do, life will be very difficult for you now. You'll have to leave this beautiful garden and work very hard to get the things you need. Now you will know what it is to be unhappy, and someday you'll die. I made you from dust. When you die, you will become dust again." God made some real clothes for Adam and Eve and sent them out into the big world. And God was with them everywhere they went. What kinds of hard work do you think Adam and Eve will have to do out in the world now? Well, they're going to have to garden. They're going to have to try to grow crops and have their own food. They'll have to make clothes and make a shelter for themselves, and they'll have to figure out how to feed themselves and how to work. And there's all sorts of things they're going to have to do now that they didn't have to do before. And that's not going to be very fun for them, is it? No, it's not. It's not. One of the things that Adam and Eve did wrong, they did eat the fruit they weren't supposed to eat, but the other thing they did was they lied about it. They didn't tell God the truth right away. And that's something that's not good to do. That's something that it keeps us from trusting each other when we tell lies. And I know sometimes we do it because we try to protect ourselves. We try to think we won't get in trouble if we lie. But that's not true, is it? People usually find out when we've told a lie. And then we're in even bigger trouble because we did it. And that's not very good. So let's think for a minute about all of creation. What are you most grateful for that God made? Not that people made, but that God made. I think I'm most thankful. I love to go down to little creeks or little branches or tributaries of a river where the water's flowing over the rocks. And I love to put my feet in the cool water and just sit there for a while and enjoy it. That's one of my favorites. I know other people like to do all kinds of things outside, or they love to grow things in the ground or to just go see some of the beautiful places we have in the world. How do you feel when you're out in nature? Do you think that helps connect us to God in some way? I think it does, because I always think about how amazing our world is and how beautiful it is, and that God created it all just for us, and that we're supposed to take care of it and be good stewards, aren't we? So here's a question to think about. When God first created the world, was it to be full of goodness or full of pain? It was to be full of goodness, wasn't it? It was. So how come life isn't all good and happy all the time. What happened? Yeah, Adam and Eve, they made some bad choices, didn't they? And they did some bad things. And part of the problem we have now in the world is that we all do that. And you figure there's more than 7 billion people on the earth. And if we all make bad choices and we all do bad things, then the world sometimes isn't a very nice place, is it? No, it's not. Because we're not always being kind and being loving to each other. And so that's one of the ways we can help change the world, is to be more kind and more loving and try to treat people the way that we want to be treated. So what are some ways that we could help the world? What are some concrete things? What are some things we could do? Maybe we could buy less stuff, because I bet a lot of us have a lot of stuff, don't we? We could recycle more and reuse things. One of the things my family did, I noticed that we have a big recycling can that gets picked up every other week. And it was so full all the time of stuff. And yeah, it was recycling, but it was so full that it didn't all fit, because I have a big family. And all our stuff didn't fit because we had so much of it. And so I tried to figure out a way that maybe we could have less stuff in the recycling can. And so instead of buying big bottles of shampoo, because I got 5 adults in my house, so we go through a lot of shampoo. Instead of buying big bottles of shampoo, I buy little shampoo bars that are like soap bars that you rub on your hair to clean it. And then I discovered little pods to do the laundry and to put in the dishwasher, so I don't have any of those big bottles anymore either. So we just tried to find different ways to not make so much mess. And maybe that's something we all need to do. Something else you can do is compost. That's really cool. That's where you use old papers and old food scraps, especially from fruits and vegetables. And you put them in some kind of bin or a container, or cover them up real good with leaves. And then you turn it every now and then. And everything breaks down the way it does out in the natural world. Everything breaks down and it turns into really good soil that then you can use in your garden, and then you can use around your house. It's a great way to not throw things into a landfill, but then also create new dirt for yourself that you can use in your yard. What was the most interesting thing to you in the story? What was it that got you thinking, I wonder why that happened that way? Some people wonder why God put a tree in the garden that people weren't supposed to touch. Other people might wonder, why was the snake so tricky? Why did it try to trick Adam and Eve? Other people wonder, why did they listen to the snake? Those are all really good questions, and ones we don't always really have an answer to. We just have to kind of guess. But I think what the story shows us is that people sometimes just don't make good decisions. Sometimes we do the wrong things, and that we need to be honest with our parents, with our teachers, and with God about the things that we've done. And we all need to do that. So I hope you enjoyed this story. We're going to have plenty more of them. The next one's going to be about Abraham and Sarah. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.